Hello, welcome back. This is episode number 15. They're coming thick and fast now, so I hope you're enjoying them. I do want to say thank you for the reviews that you've been leaving. I really appreciate it. So this is the show where we talk to indie developers, and it's just basically a chat to tell us about their game. So hopefully you can discover some really cool games. If you want to watch any of the games that we discuss, then please head over to the YouTube channel, which is just search INDIEGAMEIACS on YouTube. You can do that. And also don't forget to follow on Twitch as well. You can watch the live streams sometimes of the interviews and sometimes of the games. So head over there, send me a follow or a subscribe or whatever that little button tells you to do. And that'd be wonderful. Thank you. So this week we have Yevgeny from the game Solar Sails. Now I actually did a live stream of this a couple of months ago. I think it was back in May. It's July now if you're listening to this in the future. So please, you can find the video out on YouTube. So head over there and find the Solar Sails highlights video. It's pretty cool. We referenced it a couple of times in the interview. So you'll find the link in the show notes and everywhere else. You know the score. Anyway, as always, I don't like this to go on for too long. So let's just jump straight into the interview and I'll see you on the other side again. Okay, so welcome to the INDIEGAMEIACS podcast. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us what your game is called?
Okay, thank you for the welcome. I'm Yevgeny. I stand behind the solar sales game, which I'm going to talk about right now. And so thank you for inviting me.
My pleasure. It's been a couple of months actually since I've originally discovered you guys because I streamed your game. I think it was back in May. I think it was. It was quite a while ago now. So I did a live stream of your game, and oh my, that was
Yeah,
it was a
our
epic
midnight, I guess.
epic boss battle. I think I titled the video because wow. So we'll get into that, but that was a very interesting stream. It was great fun. So yeah,
I enjoyed it. Yeah,
it was very good. Yeah. So Solar Sails, that's the game.
indeed.
So what is the? Give us an overview of the game. What type of game is it? And is it a story game or what's the whole deal?
Well, first of all, it's a space pirates adventure game. Okay, it's a top-down tactical action, which is heavily centered around the story, but also an action game. So basically, there is a story that drives the game, but the action is quite enjoyable as you've already seen by dying more than 10 times against the boss. So yes, the game is going to be very difficult on action, but it's going to be rewarded with the story. Now, what is the game? It's basically it's heavily inspired by Treasure Planet and probably Rick and Morty and some literature like Call of Cthulhu by Lovecraft. And the game itself reminds a mix of Lovers and Dangerous Space Time. You know, it's a local co-op game with probably star control, like the exploration thing.
Hmm.
Originally, the game started during a global game jam 3 years ago. Basically, we had this idea to make one pirate ship, controlled by two players, while the ship has three battle stations. The battle stations were navigation, cannon, and shield. Right? Since there are only two players, the ship would never be at its 100% functionality. For example, if one player controls the cannon and the other player controls the navigation, so nobody controls the shield, and as a result, the ship is more vulnerable. Now, if the player who controls the navigation switches to the shield, okay, so he leaves navigation idle, and now the ship will be protected and will be able to attack, but will not be able to move, right? So it's always a trade-off. This was the core mechanic. It was just made for a local co-op. Unfortunately, we didn't make it in time during game jam. I mean, it's not a game you normally make in days, and so we decided to take it further, and we actually developed a good working demo for For PC, control was with two Xbox controllers, and we presented it on some conferences and events. And in addition to that, we also sent the game to many people, personally to play at home. And there was something really amazing happened. All the people who played the game at home, they were they were like, you know what, guys, your game should be a narrative game, should be story, because there are good characters, and you should make like an exploration game for single player. And now there was some narrative, but it was like a little bit of dialogue and some basic characters, mostly inspired by Rick and Morty and Treasure Planet. So there wasn't really much of that, but it looks like people loved it. So we decided to switch our focus from making a local co-op game to an actually campaign story game. I mean action game, but more like adventure and exploration, which meant we needed to add some content, some campaign levels, progression. Like you can find some alien technologies and upgrade your ship, fight the bosses. Explore different areas, different planets, some weird alien races. So that's how we ended up from making a co-op game into a single player game. We still have that co-op, but more like a feature rather than the main core gameplay.
Okay.
So that's in a nutshell about the
Wow.
game.
Okay. There's a lot to that. So I've got a couple of points there I just want to go over. At the start of the game, you never really had, so you didn't sort of come up with a grand master plan of the ultimate game you wanted to create. You kind of just sort of fell into the game idea and then expanded it when you realized that people were enjoying it.
Yeah, yeah,
Is that fair?
yeah. That's that. This is it. We didn't have any grand vision. In fact, we had when we brought when we came up with the idea, we just wanted to make a game. And it's very actually rare that people take their game from the game jam and take it further. I mean, usually, if you have been in a global game jam, people forget about their games like 2 3 hours after they present them. And this is something that doesn't happen a lot. So even after the game jam, we didn't have any master plan. We wanted to make a small cute game, to make other people enjoy it. Some of us actually were like wanted to make this game for their portfolio, to get jobs in the industry. And I also, I mean, I was among them. I also wanted the game for my portfolio. But as we went further with the game, actually, at least the core team kind of fell in love with it, and there was constantly that other people pumping us, like, this has a great potential. It's not just a small game. It can be a really good game if you make it bigger. If you put more time and effort into it, you can make something great out of it. So I believe they were right. Okay, so this whole idea of making a greater game, came as we developed it, during the process. Now, of course, I had some personal goals here. I always, wanted to make a game with a great storyline and narrative, and some interesting world. So I kind of took the opportunity, and I think it pays off. I mean, I can go a long way telling you what kind of content we have in the game. You know, I'll try to make it short.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, before you head on to that, um, I really like the idea of the mechanic that you had, that there's three roles to fill in the ship or on the ship, and you only
Okay.
have control of two of them at one time. That's a really, really cool mechanic. I do like that. So, and I can see how that would work if you've got two players. That would work. You're putting out fires all the time, basically, aren't you? So, how have you transitioned that into a one-player game where you only have obviously one player and 3 roles still to fill?
That's a good question. Actually, this is something we haven't solved 100% yet. Okay, but basically the idea is that you control as a single player, you control two stations at the same time, while you can't leave the navigation. So, for example, you control the navigation and shield, or navigation and cannon, and you can't abandon navigation. Now, this is probably the most optimal solution, but it's not necessarily the best one, because sometimes when you play single player, actually abandoning the navigation gives you more interesting mechanics, like like turning into stationary cannon, into stationary
Yeah, into
defender cannon.
turret. Yeah.
For example, if you put the shields on, and if you leave navigation, first of all, the first effect that compensates leaving the navigation is that your cannon grows like two cannons on its sides. So basically, you fire from three cannons, okay? And the shield, it becomes a force shield which forms around the ship. Okay, so basically, you become a fortress, and we actually called it fortress mode. Okay, so it makes the development process and the UI UX process much harder, but I think it pays off, for the players, because if we don't lock the player on navigation in single player, it gives the player much more freedom. So as I said, it was the optimal solution, but not necessarily the best one. And this is something we're still trying, to figure out and test a lot, especially when it comes to playing with controllers. And
Yeah.
with mouse and keyboard, it's pretty easy. You have a lot of buttons, and you can just assign another button. And people are very used, to the WSD and mouse, QERF, tab. There are so many
Yeah.
buttons, and it's pretty easy. But when it comes to controllers, things get more complicated here, because you don't have so many buttons, so you have to be smarter with that. And don't forget that the game is still playable by two players, which means when you are controlling just one station, it's easy, but when you're controlling two stations with one controller, and things get interesting here.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, and
Because I spent most of my time screaming at the camera, being chased by random stuff, trying to remember which station I had active. Oh my god! I mean, it's a real heart racer, isn't it? Game you can't relax in Solar Sails. There's something going on all the time.
actually, we are planning, some locations where you can relax and just travel and enjoy the world around you. This kind of places are more difficult to in terms of production, because if you want an area with less enemies and more like traveling, you need to make all your maps bigger, and you need more content, more art, more environment.
Yeah.
So basically, putting more enemies and making the game harder is usually, production wise, it's easier. And I mean,
Oh.
games like Dark Souls or Sekiro,
Mhm.
very difficult games. Actually, if you go through Dark Souls 3 levels, and you count the amount of content, there's very few enemies and very small locations. It's just the game feels long because you die a lot. Okay, and
What
that's
do you mean? You die a lot. I might not die much.
well.
Okay, I died a lot. And
Yeah,
and you
yeah,
and you
yeah.
were
Some people actually really get good in this game, and they don't die a lot. And that's what they say, that the game is very light on content. When you learn how to play, when you get good in this game, we see how light it is in content. And this is actually, production wise, it's smart move. You know what I'm saying? When a game is too hard, when you die a lot, then you don't need much content.
That's
Now,
interesting.
if your game is more like Diablo, where you slash your enemies right and left, and you traverse a lot. Then you need a lot bigger environment, which is production wise, it's more expensive.
Now, see, that makes sense now because a lot of indie games, I'm not saying they're too hard, but they're quite often very hard. And I've always wondered, why do indie devs seem to make their games so hard sometimes? I'm thinking, wow, and now it makes sense.
Yeah. Now but there's one more thing you can do. Hellblade.
Mhm.
So you played it. So
Yes.
Hellblade is not a hard game, okay? But in Hellblade, your walking speed is very slow, okay? When you
Yes.
run, it feels like like the normally walking in any other game. So if your movement speed is slow, then you don't need big environments.
Ah, cunning. That's very sneaky. So hard bosses and slow movement. That's the way forward.
Yeah, yeah.
And that'll be why. Now you were very generous earlier, and you said that I died over 10 times on your boss level that I attempted. Spoiler alert: if anyone wants to watch the video, I died 21 times.
Okay.
21
Okay.
times it took me to kill your amazing boss. I mean, I absolutely hated it, but it was amazing. Great animation. It's basically I can spoil the boss. I can spoil one boss for you. It's a mechanical shark in space is what it is. That is a mean shark, a very mean shark. But it was great fun because I love boss battles. I love boss fights. Every game should have a boss fight level.
Oh, you'll see more of them. We have some more interesting bosses coming, and you'll probably enjoy them.
Yeah,
Uh,
because I was putting a call out for. I want a name. I need a name for the boss because I need to be able to swear at it. So we need
well, what if I say Quacken? Does it tell you something?
Kraken.
Yeah, but Quacken.
Quacken.
Yeah,
Oh no, he's
it's
not.
gonna
He's
be a
not. He's not
it's gonna be a Kraken with
a duck octopus.
yeah, it's gonna be a octopus basically.
Oh, amazing! I
Yeah,
love it.
yeah. It's gonna be a big challenge, in terms of development. We're still modeling it, and then we'll have to, to basically to program its behavior. But it's gonna be one of the first bosses in the game.
Amazing. That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
So before we go on, you say we, so you're not a solo developer.
No, no, no.
So who is the we
Well,
in
actually, we're quite a large team, okay, and with very very narrow responsibilities. Because in our realities, many people are busy, so you can't really count on very few people to do a huge job. So we decided to split the responsibilities. So, for example, we have a team of 2D artists, a team of 3D artists. I mean, we actually have a few people in each of those groups. We have two music composers, one sound designer. We have a few voice actors. We have two writers, which is me and another guy. We have, for now, two programmers. So yeah,
Wow, that is a big team.
yeah. But of course, like as I said, people are working full-time jobs. So basically, we have a few hours of commitment weekly to for each from each member. Like some are less, some are more. Some people don't really have anything to do for now, but they will. I mean, for example, voice actors. We still haven't got finalized dialogue, so they don't really have much to record for now.
Okay.
Maybe here and there a few lines, but that's it. They will have stuff to do, as we progress through the
Yeah.
development.
Okay. Well, and it shows, because when I was playing the game, I say the audio was very good with the boss. As you enter the boss area, the music changes, and I won't spoil it, but there's a music change, so there's a boss coming, and it was all very ominous. So that was really good, and the artwork. like the concept art that you've got up, because you post a lot on your Instagram. So I suggest people go and follow Solar Sales on Instagram, because you post a lot of your concept art on there, and it's fantastic. Really, really good detailed characters and horrible bosses that you've got up there. So you seem to be really, keen and focused on making sure that you are producing content regularly, for people to see and get excited about the game.
Yeah, we have to. We're focusing, as I said, we're making, an interesting world. We focus on exploration. So we want to make the world interesting to explore. Like, for example, if we gave up, we actually wanted to make a multiplayer game, but we gave up on that idea because multiplayer is very difficult to develop, in terms of
Yeah.
programming. So, but if we are making a single player game, then it needs to be a good game. It needs to be a game worth playing. So we are focusing on actually making some good content,
Yeah.
interesting,
Well,
something that stands out.
yeah, and it shows. And again, it looks very unique as well. The art, the style of the game looks unique. You can, you see a picture of it, you can instantly tell it's your game. Which is always a good starting point.
Yeah. Actually, not just characters, but also the look and feel we tried to achieve here, and the sound design. We wanted something very distinguishable. Like, we're often associated with Treasure Planet,
Yep,
and it's fine.
that's
I
it.
mean, I
Yeah,
mean, of course, there will always be people like, now you're copying Treasure Planet, but most of the people see that we're inspired by, but we're making things a
yeah,
lot
of course. I mean,
different.
of course, you got to be
But
inspired by stuff. Again, it's like you don't say that to every platform. It's like, oh, you're just trying to be Mario. Yeah, I mean, of course, you're inspired by stuff. That's what makes you want to make things. So
yeah,
yeah, of course.
just to let you know that no matter what game you make, there will always be people who say, you're copying this, you're copying those, and the more people see your game, the more of those comments you will get. I mean, even if you're good and you're not really copying anything, people will say you do, but it's fine. It's a
Yeah, it's
capital
part of it.
thing.
Yes, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So jumping back a little bit again. Sorry, there's so many interesting bits here. How have you done? How have you included the one player and two player campaign? Like, is the two player part of the game? Is it a separate part of the game, or can you play the one player game with two people? If you know what I mean. How have you sorted that out?
Oh, yeah, that's an interesting question, and we had a lot of debates about it. So basically, right now, and I think it's a good choice, is that technically the game you always play single player, like you always play one player. There is no such setup, for two players. Okay, you play one player, and whenever you want, you can plug in an Xbox controller, or two Xbox controller, and the game will automatically adjust itself, in terms of UI and some control buttons. And so basically, the game, you can plug and unplug controllers, and it will direct the input source, from controllers to mouse and keyboard. So
Amazing.
it's automatic. So if you're playing campaign and suddenly you have a friend coming by, you can simply give him a controller, plug it in, and you can continue playing. Two
Yeah.
people.
There's like
Now,
it's like playing Sonic and Tails. You can just
yeah,
the second person can just take over Tails and do stuff.
yeah. You don't even need to pause the game. Actually, you can just plug it
Amazing.
in. Yeah, it's,
And of course, that's going to be local only. I assume you can't. I don't know how you do that.
yeah, yeah. It's local only. As I said, it's single player because making a
Right.
multiplayer game, it's like take all the scope and multiply it by five at least, because making a multiplayer game is very difficult.
Okay, so let's go a bit more into the technicalities of what you're doing. Which platform are you using to develop it on? Which engine is this running on?
It's Unity, of course.
Oh, Unity. Okay.
It's Unity. And the platforms we are releasing our game, first of all, it's of course Steam. It's a PC game. We're planning, since our game is playable by controllers, so we also want to port them to to consoles, to PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch, which it will take time, but we're developing the game, initially to be able to fit those consoles, like in terms of controls and UI UX.
Yeah.
So for now, you can play the game with Xbox controllers, but we're also working on including PlayStation controllers, for example, and Switch. Yeah, we want to make it as much versatile as possible, but we will not include mobile platforms for now, because I
Yeah.
think it won't fit there. Just
No,
the mechanics. I mean, it can technically fit there, but the gaming experience will be much different, and the game will not be that fast paced as it could be on PC and consoles.
yeah. I can understand that, definitely. So what about, I had a question then, and it's just left my brain. We were talking about. I always do this about halfway through. I have a question that just completely vanishes from my head.
I can tell you something about the content will be in the game. Yeah. So first of all, it's as I said, it's gonna be centered around the story. Okay. And the story will be like a traditional adventure. So you have those pirates. Okay. We have a captain. A self-loading old douchebag, like like Rick from Rick and Morty, but not smart as
Yeah.
Rick. Like, he's not the genius. He's a drunk douchebag, and and he's also farsighted. So he had a parrot which died in combat. Now he has a duck on his shoulder, and he still believes it's a parrot. And his team doesn't really want to tell him about
That
it.
makes sense now.
Uh, Yeah, we have a time traveling duck. Okay, the thing is, basically, the galaxy is going to die, to be consumed by a world-eating spaceship, a giant world-eating spaceship. So basically, the duck is from the future, and he knows how to stop it. Okay, so basically, we need to use the memories of this duck to find 10 elements to forge a very powerful weapon and stop this menace. Okay, and the problem is, of course, that it's just a duck, so it can point somewhere on a map and quack, and that's it. He can't really go into detail what's waiting us there. We never know. Yeah, basically it's a story, like story of redemption kind. So for example, our pirates are pirates, greedy. So they're making a living from selling alien technology, finding ancient alien technologies and selling them on the black market. So they found something really ancient, and you probably know it from movies of some ancient myth from ancient Egypt, or anything like ancient, that something should
Yeah.
not be awakened. Okay, so they didn't follow this rule, and they awakened something really, really terrible that's going to destroy the galaxy. So basically, we have the duck from the future to stop it. Yeah, the duck, he actually lived through this end of the world many times, and now he memorized where to find those items. He knows all their locations, so it's basically
Love it.
GPS duck.
Back to the Future duck.
But in order for the duck to remain alive, because the captain wants to eat the duck, so our team basically doesn't tell him it's a duck. So the captain believes it's a parrot.
Great. So you've got a huge world and story sort of being built up here, and obviously you've got
Yeah.
lots of humor in there. Clearly,
Actually, yeah, we have like a race of living asteroids. Okay, like sentient living asteroids who smoke stardust, and they go much into philosophical
Amazing.
discussions. Like imagine, imagine you need to convince an asteroid, what's the purpose of life and all this stuff. They're not much into fighting, but they will sometimes. And also we have the flying spaghetti monster. Okay, if you know, are you familiar with the Pastafarian religion?
No. Yes, I am. Of course, I am. Yes, of course.
So a few months ago, the Pastafarian community contacted us and asked if whether we can include the flying spaghetti monster into our game. Now, it wasn't just a random thing because according to the Pastafarian Bible, call it the very first humans introduced to flying spaghetti monster were pirates. So our game, it has time traveling ducks and sentient, started smoking asteroids. So why not include, flying spaghetti monster? It's a perfect fit. So long story short, we have the flying spaghetti monster as an NPC, gonna give us quests, and it's also we have an official collaboration with some Pastafarian churches around the world, countries like Italy, Taiwan, I think Germany, and Syria, by the way. So yeah, but of course, the game has humor. So and the flying spaghetti monster will not be exactly as it's portrayed, by the Pastafarian Church. It will undergo some changes to fit the game because it still needs to be in the context of the game. But it will, have some of the Pastafarian
Amazing.
ideals.
Oh, that's really good that they've
Uh,
reached out to you. That's actually
yeah,
really interesting they reached out to you. So, I mean, if nobody knows what a pastafarian is, yeah, it's like um, how do I explain it? They're like a light-hearted view of religion. Is that kind of? It's like a light-hearted. I don't know how you explain it. Let's do
yeah.
a
But
live search. How do we explain pastafarian? Pastafarianism. Wow. It's a social movement that promotes a
yeah,
light-hearted view of religion and opposes the teaching of intelligent design and creatism. Creatism, I can't say that word, in public schools. There you go. It's a satirical book written by
yeah,
Bobby Henderson. So there you go. But that's really cool. They've reached out to you and they want to be involved, and it's good of you to include that in your game. It seems to fit perfectly with the direction of madness you were going down anyway. So
yeah. Basically, one of my goals, in this game is to make the game remembered as one of the weirdest game they've played. So we actually want to make it like a very weird
yeah, okay.
fantasy
So
game.
is that the
Uh,
we're going say jumping around the questions a bit here. So is that the feeling or the idea that you want people to take from your game is you want them to play it and then think, what the hell is going on? This is amazing. Is that what you want people to feel?
it's actually an interesting question. It's not just that. Okay. Are you familiar with the concepts of postmodernism or metamodernism, for example? So, in a nutshell, postmodernism is more like a cynical approach, while metamodernism is a cynical or skeptical approach, but with some sincere underlying layer. Okay, the perfect example is Rick and Morty. So basically, we want to go more like Rick and Morty. So yes, we have this weirdness, like what the fuck is going on, but but it's not just it's not just humor for the sake of humor, because we actually want some real sincere messages
Yeah.
going on, underneath. Basically, the game is focused mostly around the theme of letting go of the past. All the characters in our game, the main characters, and not even the main characters, but the races and even all the NPCs, like the entire world is focused around this theme of letting go of the past. For example, the sentient asteroids I've told you about,
Hmm.
they're like they have reached some kind of tranquility, and now they are, they don't care about anything. They're high, so so they're like, when you approach them and telling them, look, there's a huge menace. It's going to destroy your planet, and they're like, whatever, dude. We're stardust anyway. So this is their take on this theme, and there is other race like insectoid society, of hard workers, like this hive mind of some kind of corporation which works as a hive mind. Okay, so they are like they faced almost extinctions from humans, so now they want to take revenge. Okay, so they, for example, can't let go of the past. Also, the captain, he drinks a lot because he can't let go of his past, so he just tries to silence it. Okay, so all of our characters and everything is in this world is around this theme. So if the first glance it may seem like there's a lot of nonsense in the game, but if you dig deeper, you will see that they are actually built around something, and this is the goal. So it's not just being skeptical and cynical and funny, but to actually base this skepticism on top of something really sincere.
Hmm. So,
That's the idea.
so how do you show that there is a deeper meaning to the game without, because the thing is with humor, a lot of people just take it at face value. And now, is it whose job is it? This is a theoretical question. Whose job is it to understand that? Is it your job to sort of tell the person who's playing it that there is a deeper meaning, or is it the player's role to look into it and discover that there's more to it? I mean, just as an idea, who do you think is in charge of
I
that?
think it's both. It's our job, to make it be there. Okay, and but we, of course, we don't want to make it like to shove it down the player's throat. So we do want to make it a little bit sophisticated, but not too much, because we do want the players to understand that. So if you want an example, well, it's a bit of spoiling, but
It's all right.
but
We'll call it an
I think it's
exclusive
fine.
instead.
So basically, the captain, this powerful weapon to stop this menace is an anchor. Our captain? He doesn't have, like, his left hand is robotic. Okay, so he has this anchor attached to his hand, and this anchor has 10 slots to insert some powerful stones, like Thanos, Thanos hand,
Yep. Yeah,
his
yeah, yeah.
gauntlet. So basically the same concept, and eventually towards the end of the game, the captain will have to let this thing go. Like he has this incredible power with all the after he has collected all the stones, but he would need to let it go. Okay, he wants to use it to resurrect his loved one, but he will eventually will have to let it go. Now, why anchor? Because anchor is usually symbolized as something that keep us down. Okay, so this is some visual interpretation of something that you let go, and it will physically let the captain, escape. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's the release, isn't it? It's what an anchor is, weighing you down, and you just got to let go.
So he will need to let it go, because this thing is his only chance, to resurrect his wife he lost years ago, which is why he's drinking. So basically, he has to give up his only chance to resurrect her, but let the other team members survive and escape. So basically, he gives up his past to save his current, to save his present and future. And the anchor is a perfect conduit, if you call it, to represent this past.
It is. It fits perfectly.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, let's moving on a tiny bit. Let's move on to you a tiny little bit then. So now I normally ask what made you get into game development, but I'm changing it ever so slightly, and I think it's probably more interesting. Which route did you take to get into game development? I think that's probably a bit more relevant for people. So if anyone's listening that is interested in getting into development and they want to know what your sort of the route that you took was, how did you get to where you are now into game development?
Well, of course, I was fascinated with games since childhood.
Yeah.
I started with some programming courses and some mods on Warcraft 3 editor and StarCraft 2 editor, even Age of Empires. So I was always interested in that, and my favorite part was writing stories. So I kind of went that road. Eventually, when I when I grew up, I decided, first I decided, to learn to learn game development, and simultaneously I tried myself in filmmaking. Okay, I made two short films, and I worked as a screenwriter for something like a year.
Oh wow.
Um, yeah, but then I decided to go back to gaming. First of all, game development is a bit more stable than filmmaker. So
Oh wow.
this financial factor is still a factor. So game development, even if it's not that stable, it's still more stable than filmmaking, and it's also you can make a game yourself, all yourself, solo. You can't shoot a film yourself. I mean, it's technically possible, but it's not like you know it's
Yeah.
very difficult, which you won't say about developing games. And also, gaming is more, it offers more creative freedom. Like, when you're shooting a film, only like 10% of all the people involved in the process of of shooting a film are actually doing something interesting and creative, and many other roles are more technical. In gaming, it's more like 50-50. Okay, and basically I started working in the gaming industry, and first I worked as a programmer because this is something it's always in high demand. I switched, to technical artist, some VFX. Then I decided to go back to narrative. This is what basically I wanted to do all along, to write stories for games. So I worked a bit as a freelancer, do narratives, writing quests and characters here and there for different companies. Right now, solar sales is my opportunity for actual good storytelling and world building. So yeah, so this is how I see myself, and another reason why I'm developing this game.
Well, that's a kind of it's an interesting answer because it just I think a lot of people think that if you're going to become a game developer, then you have to kind of know everything about everything because you're doing it all on your own or with a very small team. But it does show you that you can really just focus on one area, like say whether it's
Um,
sound production or whether it's writing or more programming stuff, and you can find your way in. You're focused on one main skill, and
Actually,
you don't think so?
um, well, you can't really focus just on one thing. You need to be like you need to do more than that. For example, as a narrative designer, as a writer, I still need to know programming stuff, because for example, I can write some good dialogue, okay, but I need to know how it is displayed in the game. I need to, to be more into game design, into programming, or like at least on some basic level, because many times, as I said, when you're developing games, you won't have that large team. You won't have like hundreds of people working on the same game, especially in indie game development. You're just you're either one man or you're a few people, and everyone should take more than just one responsibility. And I think actually you need to be to have some other skills as well, but of course you need to have that one skill which is your main skill.
Yeah.
It's like
I mean, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be programming as your main skill. I mean, there are other main skills that you can be good at,
sure,
and yeah,
nobody
yeah.
expects artists, an artist to be a programmer, but writers actually do. Usually, they do need some basic programming skills. It may seem surprising, but in this industry,
Oh,
unlike filmmaking, where film always needs a script. In gaming, some games don't even need scripts, don't need stories. Some games don't have
true.
stories.
Yeah.
So writers often like they're in much less demand than in filmmaking. So when you're a writer, if you want to make a living, you need to have some other skills, for bad days. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. No, again, that's still interesting because people like myself who have I don't have any intention of making a game, but I have no particular skill in any area. So it's interesting to know if someone coming from absolutely nothing, that it is good to focus on. Obviously, you're going to have one main skill, but don't just lose yourself in the one skill. Try and branch out to understand as much as you can about the whole gaming process.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to. Okay, it's not like I really wanted to get all those skills. I had to. It's like
Yeah, of course.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, what about troubles? What have you found the most difficult part of creating Solar Sail so far?
What was the most difficult thing to do, or what is the major difficulty?
No. What have you found? Has anything gone wrong, or have you been stuck on anything particularly while you've been developing?
Well, the number one difficulty is motivation, not my motivation, but actually motivation of other people. You know,
Oh, okay.
keeping your team motivated or even organized is a very difficult task. One of the most difficult tasks. I mean, I actually look upon the AAA games with their teams of hundreds of people, and I'm thinking, what kind of people these managers and mid managers need to be to keep things organized? Because especially when you're working, programming, working with other programmers, synchronizing your work is like it's a full-time job by itself. Just the synchronization part. And imagine you're a mid manager and you have like 20 people, under your say responsibility. And it's really, I mean, if you can survive in such large companies as a manager, you can do pretty much anything. So management is probably the most difficult part, and now and on top of that, add the fact that there is no budget. Okay, so people work on their free time, so it's not like a full time
Yeah.
job. And many times, it's not like people work in the same space, or even the same time frame. So it's very difficult to manage things. This is probably the biggest challenge so far.
Okay. That's the first. You're the first developer to say that the management, of organizing everything is the biggest problem, which is probably because I think you're the biggest team that we've had on the show so far. So I guess it goes, the
I
more people to
know,
manage, the harder it can be, I suppose.
yeah, I know bigger teams, and they're doing a better job in motivation. But I'm looking forward to learn from them.
You need a bigger stick. That's what you need. And what about? I don't know if you mentioned what you're doing about marketing. Do
um,
you have a marketing guy, girl, team? Are you outsourcing that, or are you trying to do a little bit between you all, or
uh,
have you even thought about it?
no, well, we have actually a few people who are dedicated to that. the thing about marketing, when it comes to gaming, I mean, an average game developer, he's like, he enters this industry or this field, he wants to develop games. He's like, I have this idea, this cool idea. I want to make this game, and people don't think about things like marketing. Okay, people,
Oh, I know.
it's not what people are in it for. So as a result, we don't have much experience in it. Like of course there are marketing professionals in this industry, but they came from they're not most of the time they're not game developers. Okay, game developers are more into developing games, and marketing specialists, they're marketing specialists in other industries, which migrated into the gaming industry. That being said, we don't really have much experience in it, but we're learning, we're trying, but it's difficult. It's really difficult.
Actually, that seems to be the biggest hurdle on with all the developers. And as I keep saying now, marketing begins on the first day, not release day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because but again, I understand why a lot of people struggle, because it's not a skill that why would you have to why would you know how to send an email to people? That's not your job. It's not what you've signed up for, is it? I mean, it's a completely different skill set.
Exactly, and it's actually very time and effort consuming. Like sending
Yeah.
an email to the publisher, it's something like you sit hours upon hours, just writing that email to make it, you know, the most interesting and informative, and but still keep it concise. It's not easy. It's especially when you don't know what you're doing. It's like
Yeah.
you might know how to develop a good game, but you don't have a clue how to present it well. And it's a skill. It's a learnable skill, but it's not the skill people are passionate to learn. It's more like a skill you need to learn,
Yeah.
and that's the
Well,
difference.
definitely, and it's becoming, with each episode that I do, it is always the number one problem. So there's definitely a market for some sort of solution there for someone to create anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about, again, I'm slipping this one in. How is your GIF production? Are you creating lots of GIFs to share online?
Gifts.
GIFs as in
Yeah,
as in
I haven't actually made many of them. I made a few for our Steam page. By the way, we have a Steam page. Just to let you know.
yes.
Yeah. I've made a few of them for our Steam page, and actually learned a lot about their technical stuff, like optimization and resolutions and Steam requirements, and
Well,
all that stuff.
well, they're very, very good for Twitter, because they autoplay. Because videos on Twitter don't always autoplay, so GIFs are fantastic for that, because they just repeat all the time, of course. So when you're scrolling through a news feed on Twitter, especially something with all the colors and the sort of artwork that you guys have created, it's going to be great for GIFs, because it's going to stand out straight away. So just my advice from what I've seen from other people is try and get those GIFs out as often as you possibly can.
Actually, it's a very valuable information. I mean, I didn't know that. Now, we just went into Twitter like maybe a month ago, so we didn't have.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we're still learning about this platform. So far, I'm a bit disappointed with Twitter for its technical limitations, like length of videos and
I know, it's
quality
frustrating.
settings, and the limitation of words. Like I want to make a large post, but no, you can't
No.
fit into 200 words or something like that.
Yeah. But that is also its biggest strength, because when you're scrolling through like people do, if you see a wall of text, if you suddenly saw a whole wall of text, people are not going to read it. So it makes you chop out all the unnecessary stuff in your post
Yeah,
and just give people those key lines with a nice little GIF, and that has so much effect on people.
yeah,
That's all you need them to do.
look at Facebook. Facebook actually has a very good solution for that for you, because it has, some bullet points. It has this more text or less text option. So basically, it gives you like 3-4 lines, on the heading, and then the rest of the text goes into show more. So it's the same principle, right? Yeah, it's
Yeah, but that's Facebook.
yeah, but Facebook actually allows you to put more text, while Twitter does not. Yeah, so Facebook is more convenient for that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, of course it is. Of course it is. But the sort of indie dev community are actually pretty active and growing on Twitter. It's a very positive community, I will say as well. A lot of the main hashtags, indie dev, yeah, game dev, indie dev hour, all those types of ones, they get a lot of interactions, and there's a lot of people regularly checking those because quite a few people aren't on Facebook, especially, I don't know why, a lot of developers don't seem to be on Facebook. I have no
really?
idea why. Yeah, it's
Oh,
but they seem to be on Twitter. So, yeah, unfortunately, you do you do kind of need to cover all, the Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. You do kind of need to be on all three. And obviously, it always does better if you post your content natively on each platform rather than create it on one place and then share to all three places, because you normally just get a rubbish little link to go to, which people don't bother clicking unless it shows up in the Twitter timeline. They won't bother clicking a link because
yeah,
that's just the way Twitter works, unfortunately. But definitely try your gifts on there. Make sure you use the right hashtags, all those types of things. And again, you can't get it too wrong because you've only got 280 characters. So short, sharp, couple of sentences, a nice picture or a GIF, and a few hashtags.
yeah. It's
And
a, it's actually a different approach, because, for example, on Facebook, on some indie gaming, indie dev groups,
yep,
some moderators, they require you to put more text, more information. For example, I want to post some concept art, and I say, hey guys, this is our new ship, design. What do you think? And the moderator will be like, no, tell us what is the game. Tell us who are you? Are you developing this game? And what is
yeah,
the purpose of this ship in the game? Like, they actually require you to put more information and to
and
make
that
the post bigger. And of course, you also need to add, some hashtags and some stuff and links. Some
yeah,
of them actually require you to put links to your game. Be it Steam or Facebook or Instagram or whatever. So the approach is different.
it is different. But again, and they've both got their strengths, haven't they? Because Twitter is so limited in that sense. You can put up a post in 30 seconds and it'll say everything you need it to say because you can't physically put any more. I mean, the only way what you can do, you can start your own thread. So you can just start off with, here's some information about the game coming up, and then you just reply to your own post, and then you just keep putting replies to that main post, and then you've got a big thread about the game. Then, so you can kind of do it like that if you want.
Yeah,
That's
I
another
saw
way.
people doing that. It's
It's a bit of a hack. It's a
yeah,
bit messy, but the option is there. But it's just interesting how you do kind of have to learn, all the platforms as well. It's another job, isn't it?
yeah. It's managing social media. It's a full time job, and it's a very difficult one. Uh,
It is.
yeah,
Okay, so you mentioned that you have a Steam page now.
yeah.
So where else are you most active? So where can we find out about the game, social channels, and all that stuff?
Uh, you know, Besides Steam, we have we have pages on Instagram and LinkedIn and Twitter, but we are mostly active on Facebook. We have our it's our earliest place. We went on social media, so basically it's the most active one. while Instagram and LinkedIn are relatively recent, and Twitter is very recent, like like maybe a bit more than a month.
Okay.
But right now we're directing all people to our Steam page, because that's the that's basically our homepage. Steam.
Okay. Oh, I've just seen your yeah, yeah. Do you know what? I knew this, but I've forgotten. But I've just seen that your company is Cosmic Duck Games.
Yeah,
Amazing. So I wasn't following on Steam there. So yeah, you have a follow and a wish list because I definitely want to play this more.
yeah.
Okay, so when you say Facebook, do you mean Solar Sales has got its own Facebook page? Is that where you want people to go to follow to like that page on Facebook, or do you have a group?
Well, if you want to follow, our, stay tuned to our updates, then yeah, probably you want to like our Facebook page. Um, if you want to wishlist the game and have be tuned to our biggest announcements, then yeah, probably you want to wishlist so sales on Steam.
Okay,
Yeah, so of
okay,
course you can follow other platforms like Instagram or LinkedIn. And
yeah, I do recommend the Instagram because some of the artwork on there is fantastic.
yeah, we also have a Discord. Basically, we're
Ah, yeah,
actually
okay,
trying to make our community more active. For now, we only have a small community and some people following us. But now we want to bring all development team into Discord, because we're used to to WhatsApp, and this is
oh man,
yeah, I mean, this is a good thing for everyday life communications. It's much more convenient than Discord or any other platform, but it's not the best choice for like a team with sub teams, because WhatsApp, you can open a group, you can't open a group of groups.
no, you can't. No, Discord's. Do you know what? I use Discord as almost like a messaging social media place. I've got a load of friends who only use Discord. They don't have Twitter. They don't have Facebook. They don't have anything.
You know what?
And
Actually, I can tell you something funny. Okay,
yeah,
of course, when we started solo sales, all of our team were from Israel. Okay, so in Israel we use WhatsApp as our different default app. Okay, so now the first time somebody approached us from I think it was from United States or from UK, and I wanted to bring him aboard, and I was like, okay, I need your phone number because WhatsApp uses phone number, and he was like, wait, why do you need my phone number? I was like, I need to add you on WhatsApp. Do you have WhatsApp? Wait, what is WhatsApp? And I was like, okay.
what?
Yeah, I thought, I was sure, like the whole world uses WhatsApp, and I found out that I was wrong, and most of the world, as far as I've seen, use Discord for that purpose. So yeah, so
Yeah. Well,
we want to transition to Discord because it's much more convenient, in managing teams and being close, to the community.
yeah, of course. Well, it's perfect. I mean, have you ever used Slack at all?
Yeah, Slack, but okay, Slack is something I use at work.
Yeah.
I have a job
Yeah.
as a
Oh,
game
yeah.
developer, and yeah, Slack is more like a professional tool where you need to be active all the time, and it's a closed system, and it's built for that. But it's
Yeah.
not really, I don't really want to force people to download more apps on their phones.
No.
And
Well, Discord. I think Discord is
yeah,
better than Slack
Discord,
anyway.
Discord is a good one. Slack is more, for we don't use it, okay. But if we establish a company, like a real company with where people work as their full-time jobs, and yeah, definitely we'll use Slack or Microsoft Teams or something like that.
Well, I honestly think Discord is better than any of those. I mean, you can upload videos, you can upload pictures, you can screen share,
There
you
is
can do voice, you can do video calling each other. It
yeah,
does pretty much everything.
Discord. The problem with Discord is it has some technical problems and limitations of the size of the media you can upload, and sometimes
But you can boost your server though. You know that?
yeah, I can build, but still it's still kind of limited to, I think, hundreds of megabytes. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know what the final, because you can boost it quite a few times to get to unlock the bigger file sizes, and better audio quality. In fact,
mhm.
but I
And
don't know what
also,
the top one is.
for example, when you post links from Facebook, and then it sometimes, many times, it doesn't generate previews, thumbnails.
The thumbnail, yeah,
Yeah, it has some problems which you won't have on Slack or Microsoft Teams, because these platforms are, I mean, Slack and Microsoft Teams are more into, like, they're for professional workplace.
yeah,
Yeah, but Discord is more like, like a hybrid. It can be used for professional purposes. It can be used for managing community and for indies.
yeah.
Uh,
And they are updating it a lot as well. New features are coming thick and fast to Discord. So, but yeah, okay, all right. Well, that was, let's say, slightly off topic there. We went off way there. What about release date? Do we have a rough release date for this game?
yeah, we're planning to release it, towards the end of 2029, like a year and a half from now, something like that.
I,
Yeah,
I thought you said I thought you said 2029.
20, 2021. Sorry, yeah,
I was
2021.
thinking, wow, this is a long. Okay, so towards the end of next year.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, and do you need any help? I mean, I know you've got quite a big team anyway, but is there anything that anyone listening can get involved in or help you out with?
Well, we're looking for, if that's the question, if we're looking for more people, then we could use some marketing or social media people who have experience in that field. And
Hmm.
of course, we could use some programmers and technical artists.
Okay, so if you do have any of those skills, it's definitely worth dropping you a message. Where would you like people to message you?
Um, Anywhere, Facebook,
Any of them?
Discord, anywhere, like just LinkedIn. Probably LinkedIn is the best way to find me.
Okay. Well, we'll leave links to all the places in the show notes, of course, as always. So if you have any of those skills that might be needed and you're interested in the game, that would be a bonus, I guess. Then head over there and send in your details.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so I mean, we've we've covered a lot already so far. Wow. What else is there anything? Well, is there anything that we haven't covered that you wanted to go into? Okay. Well, actually, just a quick one here.
Mhm.
Do you have any advice for people, new game developers? I know we touched on it slightly earlier with your story of how you got there, but do you have a small piece of advice that someone's looking to get into game making that you could give?
Yeah. Actually, I have one. It's not. It's very different from what people love to hear, like, believe in yourself and all stuff. My advice is something that many people don't like, but I will say it anyway. So
Good.
basically, if you're a new game developer and you have an idea for that game you want to make, okay, because most of game developers I know, at least, have that game they want to make. So if you have the game you dream about making, so just don't make it, okay? I mean, not when you're a new game developer. Don't make the game. Start from simple games. Take an existing game, an existing idea, a simple one. Add some twist of your own, and make it. And finish it. It's important to finish games. To take some smaller scope games and finish them, and get a job in the industry. It's very, very important. Like, it's a place where you can learn how it, what it takes to make a game, how you make a game, on a professional level. And when you have those skills and you have this knowledge and experience, then get back to your game you wanted to make all along, and then start making it. Now, why is it important? Because then you will approach your game you wanted to make and make it better. Okay. And another reason is that you don't. It's not the fear of wasting your idea. It's more like if you have that game you want to develop, usually the very reason you want to get into the gaming industry. So this idea is pure. It's very authentical. It's something you're emotionally connected to. So this is if you do things professionally, you can actually make a very good game out of it. It's the most pure idea you would ever have. So that's why I think you shouldn't start with it. You should start with I mean you can of course come up with some ideas of your own, but you should definitely try to start with existing games because you need to learn how things are done, and you need to learn the process. You need to find out if you can actually enjoy the process. Maybe you're in this industry just to make your game, and it's not a good approach. You need to enjoy the process itself. So you need to figure out whether you will be enjoying making games, not making the game. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I think that's fantastic advice.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
So,
just get started. Save your amazing idea for when you're at the point where you can give it, do it justice.
yeah,
Learn the skills that you need to do. Learn the process. Learn, all the things that you need. Learn marketing. So when you do create your game, you've got all these tools to give it the best chance at success.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. I
And
think
I think that's great.
I
Great
think
advice.
it helped me a lot, this approach. And I saw people who took a different approach, and they just gave up. I mean, they did a shitty game because your first game will be a shitty game. It's like inevitable. It's okay. It's the path to learning something. So they just they put all their emotions into their first game, and they failed, and they gave up. I mean, that's my advice to avoid that.
Brilliant. I love it. Okay, well that's awesome. I think that's everything that we have to go through. Unless there's anything else you wanted to go over.
I think I pretty much covered everything we needed to.
Right. Okay. Well, then I think that wraps everything up. So thank you so much for coming on. It's been a really, really interesting chat. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, yeah, my pleasure. I enjoyed it as well.
This podcast will be available absolutely everywhere, as always. It will be available on all the platforms: Apple, Google, Spotify, the Anchor website. You name it, it'll be there somewhere. So please make sure you head on to those platforms. If you can leave a review, now this will be vital. This is vital for the podcast. If you can leave a review anywhere that you listen to it, it would help hugely. And I'll read the review out on the following podcast. So I don't know if that's is that a selling point? Depends what you say in the review, I guess. So if anyone listening wouldn't mind doing that, that'd be wonderful. Thank you very much. And then we'll say goodbye. So thank you so much, and I'll speak to you next time.
Thank you, thank you very much for inviting me. It's been a pleasure, and I hope to listen to this podcast as well. Find
That'd
out.
be great.
Yeah.
And I'll link I'll make sure I share the gameplay video that I did of my epic boss battle with your nightmare that you left me.
That would be great. That would be great.
So I'll link that out again. I'll put a link in the show notes for everyone if you want to watch that. And I'm looking forward to the game, man. I really enjoyed what you'll see in the video. I really enjoyed my gameplay that I did. So I can't wait for the release.
If you enjoyed it, then I can proudly say we did our job.
You did. Thank you. Cool, man. Okay, well, take care. And I'll speak to you next time.
Thank you. Bye bye.
And that brings us to the end of episode number 15. Huge thank you to Yevgeny. I really enjoyed the chat, so thank you very much. Please head over to Steam and wishlist the game, or follow the game, or whatever you want to do. Again, like I said, I do recommend you follow them on Instagram because the artwork is very nice for Instagram. So I would recommend heading over there and following them on there. Now, as always promised, I did say I would always read the reviews out that you leave me. And now I've figured out the weird review system in Apple, which actually now I've figured out how to leave international. I can read international reviews now, where I was stuck to UK ones. So anyway, I'm only going to do one episode. So I'm just going to read one review out right now for you. So we've got a 5 out of 5 stars on Apple. So thank you very much. And this is from Odin Kong from the United States. He says, or she, I'm going for he. It's a great podcast to learn about indie games you may not have heard of. It's also wonderful for learning about how to make and publish an indie game. The sound quality on the podcast is superb. The host is funny and inquisitive. If you're a gamer, interested in indie games, or a developer, you should subscribe and listen to all the episodes right now. There we go. So thank you so much, Odin Kong, for that review. And you left that back in March, so I apologise for the delay. But like I said, I've signed up to a service which I had to pay for. I mean, I don't know what Apple are doing. So I should get the reviews emailed to me as soon as they go live now. So if you want to leave a review, please do. It helps the show massively. And I just want to get this show exposed to as many people as possible, really. If you know anyone who might like the show, then please tag me on Twitter or social media and share the indie action. That'd be fantastic. And that's the end. We have the next guest already lined up, and we're heading to the far distant lands of Australia. The first Australian on the show. So I need to keep actually would like a map of all the guests. That'd be very cool. I need a world map with everybody's pinpointing them. But anyway, that's totally irrelevant. So thank you so much for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know if you've got any feedback. Please send any feedback in. You can email me, INDIEGAMEIACS@gmail.com. You can find me on all the social media, which you've probably seen already. But if you've got any questions, or if you want to ask any developer questions, then please send the questions in and I'm happy to ask them. Other than that, take care. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.